Okay, everybody, you saw the title. So today we're going to be doing something a little different. Instead of cooking, we will be baking. So as you saw, we're going to be making some buttermilk biscuits. So here we have some all-purpose flour. Next thing we're going to be adding is some baking soda and baking powder. And then we're going to be adding some salt. Just measure it out here. All right, and the first thing we're going to do is whisk this all together. So this is the simple, quick and easy buttermilk biscuit recipe. All right, so now that we got that all whisked together, let's move on to our next step. And we're going to be using a stick of butter. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up the butter, and make sure your butter is nice and cold. And we're going to go ahead and just slice this up and get it directly into our flour. And we're going to be using the whole stick. Let me go ahead and try to work some of this in. I think before I cut it all up, let's see. Yeah, so now we're going to use our pastry cutter. And just let's remove the butter, and let's just go ahead and use the pastry cutter and then work the butter into the flour. So it's just cutting the butter. And you can just scrape it off if it gets caught up in your slicer. All right, so let's go ahead before this starts to melt and add the rest of our butter, because you really want to go ahead and get it all in there before it starts to melt. You want the butter to still be quite cold. And obviously, all right, so we have our full stick of butter. So let's go ahead back to our cutter and try to work that butter into this flour. Okay, now that we have cut our butter into our flour, let's go ahead and make a little bit of a well here. And let's go ahead and incorporate our cold buttermilk. And it should be just that, cold. Right? I'm going to do about half. So let's just go ahead and start to stir from the outside in to form a dough. All right, so let's add some additional buttermilk. All right, and at this step, you definitely want to make sure you washed your hands. I've already washed my hands before I started. That's first things first, because you have to get in there with this dough. And it will be sticky, which is how you want it. All right, we're almost done with that buttermilk. There we go. And I will leave all the exact measurements for everything in the description. All right, so now that our dough is starting to form a nice sticky consistency, let's go ahead and get this onto a floured surface. Okay, so we can further work with it. So here I have my cutting board, so let's move this over. Got my cutting board that I've already pre-floured. And I'm going to go ahead and get our dough onto it so we can now work with it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and pour that on there. And we're going to make a ball. It's still pretty loose actually. All right, so here is our dough, nice and sticky. And you want to have some extra flour on hand, which I have over here. So you just want to flour your hands, right? And you can let that extra flour also incorporate into your dough. So I just want to make a little bit of a ball first. I'm just going to just turn it over. All right, you could also use a rolling pin, but I'm going to try to use my hands. We'll see if I need to use a rolling pin at all. Okay, so now I got somewhat of a ball, right? A mound, I would say. So let's go ahead and try to flatten it out a bit. And we're going to fold it. We want to try to create folds within the dough. And that will help to like create your layers for your biscuits. All right, so here we go. So let's take the dough, and first thing we're just going to fold it over like so. And again, just continue working with it. I know they say don't overwork your dough. You don't want to overwork, but let me see. This is like excess. I'm going to try to get it all in there. All right, so you want a nice heaping pile. And then just take it this way and fold it over again. And then just pat down. So yeah, I don't believe that we need a rolling pin. So you just want to create several folds within your dough. So then just pat it down. Again. Alrighty, let's fold it again this way. So what I'm doing is folding them each time on the opposite. So actually, so it's going to be over here, then this way. So let's go back this way again. And the dough is still, you know, a little sticky in the center, which is fine. This is how you kind of want it. So just folding it over and mashing it down. And I'm just going to fold it one more time. And again, I do have some excess flour over here, but that's fine. Just leave it alone. If you can incorporate it, you can try to do so, but if it's too much, no worries. Alrighty, so let's fold this over here one last time, this way. And now let's mash it down again. Okay, and you want it to be a little high. So then you want to take a biscuit cutter and cut out your biscuits. Okay, so here we have it. So let's go ahead and get our biscuit cutter, and here I'm going to be using 3-inch, and I just have some extra flour here, so I'm just going to put it in there to try to flour that biscuit cutter, and you know, nice and liberally, because remember the center is pretty sticky, so you want to make sure, you know, it doesn't stick to your biscuit cutter. So in a separate baking dish that we're going to be using to bake our biscuits, and I've already pre-buttered. Here we have it. I sprayed it with some butter, so I will show you once I've got it all laid out, but for now let's go ahead and start cutting out these biscuits. So I'm going to just start over here in one of these corners right here and just press down. So you don't have to twist, twist, twist. You don't need to do that. Just press down. Give it a little push and then take up your biscuits. Right? And you want them to be, like I said, nice and thick. So here we have our first one. Well, that's the second one. Here's the first one. Press down, and let's just grab that up. And you want to make your biscuits touch. So let me get this first one that I cut out of here. So you want to make sure that when you place them in your baking tray that they are touching. I'm going to show you in a sec once I get these first 4 done. So you want them like that. You want them touching on the tray. So now that we have this excess, let's just push this back together. Right, and then we're going to do an additional fold. To bring this back together. So let's fold that. And then just mash it down. Okay, let's hurry up because the butter is going to start to melt after a while. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get our next one done. On the dish. And lastly, and we should be able to get at least one additional one. So I'm just going to make a fold here. This looks like 1.5, so let's see. I'm literally going to try to cut this. Maybe I should just leave it one big one. Okay, I'm going to try to cut it. So I got one and a little breadstick. All right, so here we have it. We have our 8 biscuits. Let me show you, raise this up. And 1 mini, and what we're going to do is pop this in a 450 degree oven for about 12 minutes, and then I'll be back to show you what they look like. Okay everybody, it has been 12 minutes and I just took our biscuits out the oven. As you can see, they rose nicely. They are nice and golden brown, and if you look along the sides, ouch, it's hot, you'll see some layers within them. So I just have a little bit of melted butter here, and I'm just going to take our butter and just give our biscuits a quick rub. You can also put honey, that's completely up to you, but I'm gonna go ahead and just add some melted butter on these. And then we will be ready to give them a quick taste. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and give these biscuits a taste. Okay, everybody, so here we have our completed biscuit. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit more butter on there. And then I'm going to just drizzle a little bit of raw honey. Completely optional. It's up to you. If you don't like honey, leave it out. And if you look along the sides of our biscuits, you can see it has thickened up and risen and given you a little bit of a layer on this one here. So let's go ahead and give that a taste. Look at it, cooked perfectly done. Perfect. The buttermilk gives it a little bit of tanginess, and that honey adds so much additional flavor. This is definitely one worth trying. Hopefully you enjoyed this baking video since we took a little break from cooking. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Also, if you would like to see more baking videos, leave me a comment, let me know, and we can try and explore some baking dishes together. Thanks for watching.